How's it going?
Great. How you doing, Michael?
Good, man.
Thanks for taking the time today. My name's Jimmy. I'm with Bleeding Cool,
Great.
and I got a bunch of questions to throw at you, so I'm gonna try to get as much in as I can.
Great.
Apologize if I'm talking too fast, but let's start with the news that's lighting up the internet all day yesterday. The Lego Batman script that you and Dan Harmon wrote. Can you give me any details on that?
um, yeah, I saw that article. I mean, I think McKay did probably a better job of describing it than I would. It was that was a fun project. It would have been really cool. And it was a great sort of like time hopping story. Yeah, I guess as McKay said, like a little bit of Godfather 2, a little bit of Boogie Nights. Really about the friendship between Batman and Superman and trying to investigate like what went wrong between those two.
Mhm.
And it was fun. I liked it was fun to write Superman, to get to write like a kind of a real wide-eyed version of the Dirk Diggler version of Superman was fun. And yeah, we that would have been a good one. Harmon, he had a lot of great Martian Manhunter jokes in there. We all missed out.
Can you remember any of them? Can you allowed
I
to share any?
can't. I can't. I'll keep those in my back pocket. You never know what
Right,
happens.
right. Let's talk about Heels then. I watched the first two episodes, loved it.
Oh wow, thanks, man.
No, thank you. You've been working on this since 2017, is that right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
What was the long haul with that? What was there COVID slow you down?
So 2017 they picked it up to a writer's room, a mini room, and I ran that, and we wrote the first season, but couldn't cast it, couldn't find the right actors to satisfy the network, to play those two main parts. Um, and so the show went on a shelf, and I went off and I worked on Rick and Morty. And then in 2019, I took over and was doing Loki. And that was when Starz approached me about reviving it. And, they brought on Mike O'Malley, who had created Survivor's Remorse for them, as the showrunner. And, he kind of took the reign, I passed the baton to him, and I worked together. And yeah, they got it through production, and now it's coming out. It's crazy.
A lot of folks don't realize how ingrained professional wrestling is with American history on a personal level. So, how personal is this story to you?
Very much so. I mean, I grew up uh, just a huge wrestling fan. That was my that was my comics growing up. That was like the myth that I was most enchanted by as a kid. Um, and so I to get to do a story in this world and kind of like, pull back the curtain a little bit, but also celebrate, I think, some of the beauty and the artistry of the world of wrestling, as opposed to just the dark side of it, is really exciting.
Who, well, for me growing up, it was like Hulk Hogan and Junkyard Dog and that kind of in the early 80s.
Yep.
Wrestling was ubiquitous with pop culture. Who was it? Who were your wrestlers when you were young?
It was in the WCW. It was Sting with the, first the bleach blonde hair and the painted face, and then later the Crow Sting with the dark hair and coming down from the rafters. And then the WWF, it was Shawn Michaels, um, with the long hair and just a great sort of anti-hero, rascally villain type. Those were my two respective two favorites for sure.
Right on. What themes are you hoping to get across to viewers in between the in-ring action in the storyline of Heels?
I think that I think identity. I think it's a story about kind of, who are we really? Is it the character we play? Is it who you know, like we're all say it's all sort of a ring to some extent. We're always playing this character that's shaped by who we think we're performing for, or or our own family legacy and everything. And so just trying to figure out who's the real me, the character in the ring, the bad guy or the good guy I hope I am outside of it, all that stuff. And as it relates to a family and everything, I think that stuff is really exciting.
Was it, you mentioned the casting, was it was the casting Steven Amell, did that cross over with Arrow at all, or was that
He had just wrapped on Arrow, and it was really the stars aligned, because Steven is such a tremendous actor coming off of Arrow. Obviously he's got a huge following, but he's just a huge wrestling fan, and he's been in the ring, he's wrestled before with WWE, and he's involved with AEW, and so getting him was huge. And then getting Alexander Ludwig, coming off of Vikings, to play his baby brother Ace, it was like suddenly we just had the two perfect guys for these two roles, not just in terms of physicality, but in terms of just like great dramatic acting chops. And so yeah, it all came together around the two of them.
Yeah, on-screen chemistry, very believable brothers, I would say, especially.
Yeah, for sure. That was, and that's just again the stars aligning. We were very lucky.
Slide into Loki, big hit. Your show running that. My first question is, who is Mephisto disguised as, and how soon will he be revealed?
Mephisto is all of us. Mephisto is the friends we made along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it true that Dan Harmon offered you Rick and Morty showrunner position on your way to a meeting to get Loki?
Yeah, we had conversations about that. Yes. Mike McMahon was leaving. He'd created Solar Opposites and Star Trek Lower Decks, and so yeah, Harmon and I had a conversation about me taking over. I just come up on the show and everything, and that would have been fun. In another world, that would have been a blast. But the Loki thing was really, once that came on the radar, Dan was very supportive and encouraged me to go after it.
Sure. It's
once he realized it was live action. At one point, he was like, are you really passionate about the character of Loki? This is a pretty successful cartoon. And I was like, it's live. This is the live action. He was like, oh, he's like, yeah, go. Go.
It's a big step, right?
Yeah.
Loki so far, episode 1 is a brilliant deconstruction of a background character, rebuilding him into the main character of a story, into the protagonist of a story, almost like everybody else Loki has to fail so everybody else can succeed, right? Which sets up his redeeming qualities. But Loki has been reported, there's a lot of hubbub on the internet about Loki being gender fluid. So wouldn't he be kind of, my question is, wouldn't he be everything fluid? He turns into fish, he turns into snakes, frogs. He's a frost giant, right? So he's kind of
yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess as with all questions pertaining to that stuff, it's like I think those answers truly are best experienced in the watching of the show, as opposed to me trying to answer them, because it's just watching it, and the way that's addressed and everything will just be more fulfilling.
Is there anything you can say about why it's important that he is gender fluid?
Well, I mean, I think that Loki is a character that a lot of fans see representation in, people that haven't felt represented before, and they, they see themselves in Loki and everything. And so we want to do justice to the character, to who the character is canonically in the comics and in Norse mythology as
Mhm.
well. And so, and you also, you want folks to feel represented in everything. So that's why it's important. And it always has been. It's, that comes from everybody on the creative team.
You mentioned that the sequel to the Lego Batman would be kind of timey-wimey, and Loki is definitely timey-wimey, time traveling uh, episodes. Are you sticking to the time travel rules set in the Avengers in Endgame? And
I mean, that's certainly the foundation that we built upon.
right, and the
They
TVA is there to clean everybody up.
yeah, it's the Avengers Endgame. That's how the Avengers understand time travel.
Mhm.
Uh, Loki episode 1 is how the TVA explains time travel to Loki, and so that's where we're certainly just building upon what came before us.
If you had a time twister, what would you use it for?
To twist, to go back and forth. Geez, what a good question. Maybe to let my dog out, save myself the trouble in the morning. I could warp him outside, and I wouldn't have to get out of bed.
What about these the Chekhov's Infinity Stones that we set up in the first episode? Are they going to pay off and spill into Doctor Strange? Can you talk about any of that?
It's a lot of Infinity Stones, that's true, but they're useless. They're useless there in the TVA. So I don't know. Is that gun loaded or not? I mean, we'll see.
Let's transition over to Doctor Strange. Mephisto, same question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there too. Yeah,
he's
there.
all of us, right?
Doctor Strange and the Mephisto of Madness.
So is it you had to start the script all over when COVID started, or do you decide to do it?
Well, there was just the COVID allowed us more time to Sam and I suddenly were production got pushed, and Sam and I had a chance to say, all right, let's now we have the time to make this thing more our own and sort of if we were starting over from scratch, what kind of story would we want to do here? And so that was nice to have that luxury with Sam to get to really figure that out.
Do you he's got a Sam Raimi, he has a very distinct style, and he always has a very few distinct gags, if you will, in his visual language. Do you write for any of those specific scenes or gags, or does he come, or is it a collaborative effort?
It's totally collaborative. In some cases, yes, and in some cases I delight him. Oh yeah, you want to do. In other cases, he's kind of like, don't, it's like you don't. He's nobody knows where to put the Sam Raimi flourishes better than Sam. So I know better than to try and say, and here's where you should do big, exciting push in. But I tried to write in a way that was visually interesting and but other times just give him a blueprint and let him show up and be a genius.
And the word is this is a kind of a new creative direction for the MCU. It's going to be like unlike anything we've ever seen.
That's what everybody says, right?
Well, do you say that?
I think I did say that once, and everybody was like, everybody always says that. uh but it is Sam Raimi making a movie in the MCU, so I do think we the way the camera moves in a Sam Raimi movie is distinct and is really cool, and so I think he has it's going to feel like a very unique cinematic experience.
I'm pretty sure you did say that the Doctor Strange will be a cross between Indiana Jones and Anthony Bourdain.
I did, yes.
Yes. So is Indiana Jones? I kind of get. Is Anthony Bourdain a hero of yours? Somebody you look up to?
Yeah, I love Anthony Bourdain. I just love he's an intellectual, but also has his own kind of scoundrel tendencies and everything, and just not afraid to be a little bit of an acerbic smartass in the same way that Stephen Strange is, but yet remains likable throughout it. And so yeah, I think he was just a good reference point for me.
Let's talk about the Star Wars project. Anything you can say at all?
Probably not, man.
What can we expect? Who can we expect? When?
Mephisto.
Yes, Mephisto in the Star Wars universe. Probably have a triple-bladed lightsaber.
Exactly. Early days on that one for sure. Just excited to be working with Kevin again and working with Kathy Kennedy and everybody at Lucasfilm. Like that, I'm just very excited to see what that becomes.
Good. Do you have a favorite place where you lock yourself off to drop a deuce?
That's probably, I guess, related to just all the different places you work, all the different offices. It's I think of that as more of a workplace issue. So
right.
Yeah, those secret bathrooms are littered across different studio lots in Hollywood for sure.
Do you have any thoughts what season 5 of Rick and Morty would have looked like under your direction?
I think, I mean, I probably not entirely different from, well, it's still Harmon and Roiland's voice and everything, and it's like, I think it's part of the job is just like let Dan do his thing. But I know Scott Martyr, who's doing that job over there now, is just doing an amazing job and is probably a much more efficient and just good showrunner for that show than I ever would have been. So it's probably just wouldn't have been on time if I had done the job.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of used to that. Rick and Morty fans are kind of on my way out the door. Thanks for taking the time today, Michael. When you were a young lad getting up early on Saturday mornings to watch either wrestling or Saturday morning cartoons, you get up on the couch and pour yourself a big bowl of cereal. What was your favorite bowl of Saturday morning cereal?
I think it was Kix. Kix the little yellow corn balls. Yeah, I was a Kix guy. That was my thing.
What cartoons did you watch? Anything besides wrestling?
I mean, when I think back, I was a big Rugrats guy. I guess like Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, all the Nickelodeon stuff was like Ren and Stimpy was probably a terrible influence on me. Rocko's Modern Life, all that stuff that felt like really subversive. I read a lot of Calvin and Hobbes. That was probably my biggest creative influence that I was downloading into my brain as a kid was actually just reading Calvin and Hobbes.
So yeah, like I said, thanks for your time. I've got Loki, Heels, Doctor Strange, Star Wars, Rick and Morty. Am I forgetting anything? Anything else I can plug for you?
No, I think that's it, man. That's
what you're having for dinner tonight.
To keep me sleepy. We'll see. I'll go ask my wife.
All right, man. Thanks for your time, man. Have a great day.
Thanks, dude.
Right on.